I know that you're curious to know how I make graphics for my sound bites or the thumbnails for my YouTube. So I thought today I would give you a quick behind the scenes on how I create templates using Canva. Yes, this is one of my favorite tools. I have used it since 2016-ish, somewhere around there. So it is one of my old friends. Like, that's really what I feel like the relationship I have with Canva. It has evolved and turned into so many incredible ways that I can use it in my content and in my business. And you can actually watch these videos right here that I have used to teach you ways to use Canva for your podcast and for YouTube. But today I want to go on a full behind the scenes tutorial on how you can use Canva with your podcast or on your YouTube and what that looks like. So let's get right to it. Hey y'all, Crystal here today, and like I said, we're going to be diving into all the ways that I use Canva in my content, but I wanted to let you know you're going to see some features here today that may or may not be available to you depending on which type of account you have within Canva. So I have the Canva Pro version. You can actually try out Canva Pro for 30 days by going to crystalproffitt.com/Canva. There's also going to be a link in the video description. I'm a proud partner and affiliate with Canva, and I love what they do. I already told you, I've been using them since 2016, and I just love that they keep iterating and changing and evolving their platform to help people where they're at. Like, they recently added features that allows for you to create countdown timers and to do sound bites for your podcast. And I can only imagine the other cool ways that you can use it that I don't even know about. So make sure you go and check out Canva by going to crystalproffitt.com/Canva. Now, let's go to my Canva account and I'm going to show you how I use it for my content. So the first thing that I wanted to start with today is the graphics for the sound bites that you see for the Proffitt Podcast. If you listen to my show on a regular basis, you've probably seen these on Facebook and Instagram because it is how I market my show. And I can't do any of this without the use of Canva, where I store and create all of these different images that you see that are the static image behind my sound bites. Now, make sure you check out this video right here. It's the updated version of my Canva soundbite tutorial, and it is very popular, and it is one of those videos that people ask me about all the time. So go check that out in the video description. Now, if you are brand new to Canva, what it is, it's a fantastic graphic design tool that allows you to remove the background of your images. So if you ever see professionally done pictures and then the background is removed, it's how I make my thumbnails. It's how I do so many things in my business. But you have all of these templates at the top, and you have different ways of using them for social media, for video, for print products, marketing, and I mean, the list just goes on and on for all of the amazing ways that you can use Canva. Did you see they had like Zoom backgrounds too? Like, they just, I mean, it just keeps going. It keeps going. Like, it's so incredible. But now I want to go into the specific ways that I use Canva. And I'm going to be very honest, my Canva is not super organized and everything. And there's a reason. I search for it kind of like I do in my Google Drive sometimes. Like, I just name things by specific titles. Like, if it's a podcast episode, I'll put the podcast episode name as the title for that image. Or YouTube, I will use the YouTube title, and that is what I title the image. That way I can go back and find things later. I wish I could sit here and say that it's like, oh, it's so organized by year and by style and by form. It's not. Okay, it's just not. It's how maybe one day I will get to being that organized. I'm not there. So let me go into my home screen again because I want to show you my recent designs. Now, some of these are actually really old. And you're like, well, why? Like this right here, why? This is an old YouTube video that I put out a long time ago. Why is it here in the recent? Well, I will use the graphics that you see in many different ways. I don't just use it for current pieces of content. If I can't find the original, for example, this email for a podcast, if I don't have that stored somewhere, because I did develop a system for how I store all these images, I will go back to Canva and I will look for that image again, because I know it's titled what that YouTube video is, and I will go and download it because I can use it again. So anyway, that's just like a little side note. It's not what we're here to talk about today, because what I want to talk about is, this is a recent graphic that I used for the Proffitt podcast. And I'm not going to reinvent the wheel every time. I've picked a format that I like, and I'm just going to go in and make a copy and use that as my base template. Just like you saw all these other templates up here, I advise you to create templates for your brand and then just reuse those over and over again in new creative ways. So the way to do that is, I'm going to go here, I'm going to click make a copy, and it's going to create a copy right here, and then I can click on that, and then it's gonna open in a new window. So here it is. You can see it says copy of. So whenever I want to change this to the new name and change it up and do all the things, then I can do that within the naming system that I've created here. But what I will typically do whenever I am using the graphic or creating the graphic for a podcast episode, I come in and I've made it to where I just change the actual name of the episode. So I could put new podcast episode name just as a placeholder. And this could be my template, but I do like that it has new episode there. It has my branding colors and these little icons that I have found. And I created this whole thing from a Canva template. So you can even go back up here, over here on the left where it says templates, and you could select something else. So I'm going to add a new page so it doesn't mess up what we've already done up here. And if I wanted to do something different, I could come up here and type in podcast. And there are all of these incredible templates that they've created. Like I said, they're constantly reiterating and making things new. They did not have all of these back in 2016 whenever I was first using Canva. They had very bare minimum things, and I'm so glad that they do, because, okay, here's a great one. I like this one. So if I wanted to create, I could use Canva to create my soundbite, but I love that I'm not starting from scratch. Because y'all, I'm not a designer. I'm not someone that can just think, oh, this is the thing that I see and this is how I want it. No, I need a template. I need someone to tell me, this is your starting line, here's what we're going with, and then we can go from there. And so I am like, okay, I like this, but it's not my brand colors. And what's really cool is within Canva, if I wanted to, like I'm just clicking on the background here, I can go up here to change the background color. And here is my branding kit. Now, these are all of the colors that I use in Proffitt Media. It's the darker version, if you want to call them that. And then these are the, I guess it's the fully opaque version. And these are the kind of, it's the same color. Let me see how I can say this correctly. Again, I'm not a designer, so I don't know all the technical terms for this. But it's the lighter version. So there are times when if I use this, you're like, oh, that doesn't look like a great background color. Let's tone it down a little bit. Okay, that one looks better. It looks more subtle, but there are other places where I would want to use that other brand color. So you can set your brand colors, and I'll show you how I did this in a second. But those are always there. So whenever I pick a template, I could just come in here and I can click on these other elements and say, okay, I think I want to change this here. Maybe we'll change this to the lighter version. And then what I also like to do is whenever you change a color like this, you could change all of them to be that. So let me show you what I mean. I could change this to this color. And then down here at the bottom, you see where it says change all. So it's changing all of the brown colors to this new color that I've used. So I don't know that it made a whole bunch of changes, but I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change that one. We'll change this one to that one. Again, I'm not great design, but you know, I'm just clicking things up so you can see the changes. Okay, I don't like that one. Let's go back here. And then there we go. So there's that. I could upload my artwork. I believe I have the podcast saved here. There we go. Oh, look, I have the original version of Rookie Podcasting. That is not the title of my podcast, but you can see there were several iterations of my show from back in the day. I created my artwork using Canva for the podcast, the original one for the Rookie Life and the one that you see today for the Proffitt Podcast, but that's not the one I want to use. So the Proffitt Podcast, here we go. So I want to change that. That template is not going to allow for me to do it. So do that here. I don't really want that. And you didn't come here for a full tutorial about, how to make this beautiful and how to do all the things. You can actually watch this video right here where I go through how you can create podcast artwork using Canva. But I just wanted to show you a quick demonstration of how easy it is to use. But let's go back up here to the top. Because if this were going to be a brand new episode and I wanted to change things up, I would go back over to the uploaded pictures, and as you can see, I have an insane amount, like it's narcissistic borderline amount of selfies that I take for podcast graphics, just like this. I use them for thumbnail images on YouTube, and a lot of this content eventually becomes my social media post. So there's a lot of selfies in my Canva account. I mean, I can just scroll through and you see all the ridiculous faces and poses, and I have to tell you, it's kind of nice to have all of these here. I'll get dressed up and just take a whole bunch of pictures, and then I have them and I can use them for different reasons, like this graphic today or a YouTube video in the future. So just another little behind the scenes of what I do with Canva. So this one's fun. Let's just put this one here. I'm not even looking at the camera. It's not a great picture, but we're just going to use it because it looks fun. So that is another image. I would just change out the image. I would, scale it to how I wanted it to look. And maybe I would reorder some of this right here. If I wanted this to look like, okay, well, I'm pointing to this and I want to move this down a little bit so it looks like I'm pointing there. There's just a lot of different thought processes that I go through where I'm like, okay, this is how I want it to look. And then I say, done is better than perfect, so it's good enough. This is something that's really important, especially when it comes to design. It's so subjective that I could sit here and say, oh, I need to make it perfect. It needs to be this type of, background and the font needs to be just right. This is why I work with a template. And then I say, okay, that's good enough. I'm going to download it. I'm going to create my soundbite and then go from there. But I think it's just really important for you to know that I don't spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on graphics. I say I have more important things I need to move on. So let's just create something from a template and keep going. Now, let me show you what I do with my YouTube thumbnails because that's a little different and it's a little more complicated. So let's go back out to the home screen and I'm actually going to show you where I set up my brand colors too. So when you're in the Canva Pro version, you're able to see your brand kit over to the side. So I have set, remember earlier I talked about the brand colors that are already there. Oh, look, it's not even titled because this template or this ability to set up your media kit hasn't always been here. So again, it's another one of the cool things that Canva is continuously iterating. But if I had multiple palettes that I need to work with, maybe you have something that's slightly different for your website versus your courses or your podcast or YouTube. If you have a little bit slightly different colors, then you could add those in there. But I like to have very similar things that flow across all of my brand. It's one of my brand secrets because I like things very, very simple. And then it has text and different things that you can do with fonts over here. But I haven't even messed around with that because it just depends on what I'm creating, on what I really want. But I have recent fonts that are saved within Canva that I default to over and over again. But I just wanted to show you, this is where you would set up your brand kit. It's over here under tools and you could set your colors. highly recommend having colors for your brand. It's how you can stand out and you develop that consistent eye with people seeing the same colors over and over, where they don't even have to actually read what they're seeing. They just see the same graphic, same image, something very similar with the brand colors and the same fonts. And they're like, oh, Crystal put out a new podcast episode. Oh, there's a new YouTube video. They very much will start using that subliminal messaging just by using your font colors. So little marketing tip for creating your content and graphics. Now, let's go into my YouTube videos, because this is what I will do with my thumbnails. And here's a little like really behind the scenes. Now, I like to flip-flop my views. So I do have a template that I've developed over time with my thumbnails that I really like, and it may change in the future. You could be watching this 2 years from now and realize like, Crystal, you don't do the same thing. Well, it's a continuous evolution with what's working with my content, and the type of thumbnails that I'm creating today are really working. So I keep them the same for now. But what I will do is I switch whether I myself am on the left side of the thumbnail or the right side of the thumbnail based on just the order of the videos and how they work. So you can see I'm here on this video, but then I'm here on this one. So if I were to make the next template or the next thumbnail, if I was here on this one, well, then I need to be on the opposite side for the next one. I hope that makes sense. It's a little mind trick that I use. But I'm going to go and do the same that what I did earlier. I'm going to make a copy, and then here is the copy of that thumbnail, and I'm going to open it. And now you can see this is already a published thumbnail. It's already out there. So I want to change things. Now, something else that I will do as well is I will kind of dig through my archives to see if there are little graphics and images. They're called elements within Canva that I've used previously that I want to use again. For example, this has a YouTube play button. It has a computer with a graphic that's showing like my show notes for the podcast, and it has this little microphone. Well, if I'm already thinking I want to use that stuff again, I will go to that template. And this is why I love templates, because I can reuse a lot of the things I've created previously. Like if I had one that had money on it, I would type in Canva money, because it's likely that that is in the title of an episode. And then I would use those same templates, even if I have to switch things around and change things up. I hope that makes sense. You understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Tell me in the comments if you are here with me, because this is really fun. I actually enjoy making thumbnails for my YouTube videos. So what I will do if this is a thumbnail for a brand new video, the first thing I always do is I come in and I delete myself. The reason why I do this is because I don't want to reuse the same images of me over and over and over again, which is why, again, you saw all the Canva selfies that I have in there. I like to have a variety of different images that I can choose from. So if I have one that's pointing this way, but then next time I want it to point this way, it'd be slightly different. If I want to have a surprised look or like a confused look or what's going on, I do this. And this is just my personal preference. Some people could just take one selfie and it's all good to go, but I like having choices because I like being able to say, okay, I'm going to use this time, but next time I think I want to reuse some of these pictures. I don't like to take a ton of pictures either, y'all. Like it is a bunch to, get hair, get makeup, like feel good about yourself, feel confident, and take a bunch of pictures at once. You've heard me, if you've been around here before, I talk about batching. I talk about repurposing content. I make the most of even taking pictures for things like this. And I like to do a whole bunch at once. Whenever I'm feeling good, I'm feeling in the moment, and I want to make it happen, then I will do that. And then I upload them all to Canva. And then whenever I don't feel that great, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to pull from the archives all these other selfies that I have because I don't feel like taking pictures today. So there's another tip for you. But if I wanted to, let's collapse that real fast. We're going to just call this new video title. Oops, let's do this, capitalize it, for YouTube thumbnail. Now, I know thumbnail is kind of a long word. It doesn't really fit there, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And if this were what I would do, I don't need this bottom line, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to come up. I'm going to make this right there. We're going to move all these icons. I am going to use these for this example, but I don't need them right there because you can't see thumbnail. So I will typically rearrange all the text, and I like it to be in this box. Do you see this purple box that shows up? That's just typically, it gives you enough margin so people see that and it doesn't get cut off in applications, or if you upload, like if you've ever uploaded a Facebook group photo, which I create my Facebook group photos here in Canva, and it cuts it off or it looks weird, it's usually because it's outside the scope of that specific area. So I just like to be in the purple box. It's like better safe than sorry type of thing. And then I'll move this down here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to move this. Actually, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to move it down. I can still make this slightly bigger because what I'm trying to do is put the most important words right here in this bright color, because that's what people will likely read first. And then they'll see the rest of the information that follows what is happening here. So let me go back to our example, the original example of this thumbnail. So you can see here, the keyword is repurpose. Repurpose one podcast episode multiple ways. And the reason why I made repurpose so big is because that's a keyword. People want to know about repurposing. They want to know about batching. I will put those words very big in the title because I want someone to click on the thumbnail. My YouTube videos don't get watched if people aren't curious looking at the thumbnail and say, oh, I need that. Oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to click on this because I like the way that it's very aesthetically pleasing. There's a lot of different ways that we could get into the psychology of why people click on stuff, but I think it's important to have very front and center exactly why someone should watch that video. So this is what the original one looked like. Now let's go back to the changes. Now this is the new template. So it's a new video, titles for YouTube, thumbnails. I guess it should be thumbnails, not thumbnail. Okay. Now, let's make this over here. But if I were to put a picture of myself right here, it doesn't leave a lot of room. So what I will do is I will shove that down to the next line. All I did was hit enter. And then I will make, I don't really know when I started doing these little background, like the yellow boxes, but I like them. You know, like I said, at the beginning of this video, I may change things in the future, but it's what I do for now. So there we go. New video, title for YouTube thumbnails. It doesn't really even make sense what this says, but you get it. It's just a template. So I'm going to move this over as far as I can to where it would still look great. I could even switch this to the opposite side so I have more room, and I can move this here. I can make it smaller. I can make this computer smaller, like whatever I eventually like land on. That's like, okay, that looks good. It looks aesthetically pleasing. This is a little big. Let me make that smaller. Now I'm going to go over to my uploads and try to find something that I don't have to flip around. There is the ability to flip pictures up here. Watch the YouTube play button. You'll see it. You can flip things horizontally. So that's a cool feature, but I try to not use that as often as possible because things can look weird if you flip something around and then things are read on somebody's shirt backwards because you flipped it, or you notice something else weird in the background and you're like, that video doesn't look natural, so something happened. I like to use ones that actually point to what I'm doing. So this one is one right here. Even though I'm leaning really far back, what I will do is I'm going to go to edit image. And again, this is what I love about the different things that you can do here. So the background remover, I think, is only on a Canva Pro account. Like one of the many reasons to get a Canva Pro account is just for the seamless background remover, because watch what will happen. I'm going to click background remover. And it's working on my picture. It's working on my picture. It's taking out the background. There are a few things that may be left there. We're going to see. It's always kind of like, ooh, is it going to take everything out of the background? Okay, so as you can see, there's a cord from the microphone that you can still see in this picture, as well as some other stuff right here. So if you need to erase more stuff, you can do that. You can come over here, make this a little bit bigger so where that's easy. I've tried to cut this chair out and then I end up like doing this, like where it's half my arm is gone too. So I don't do that anymore. And I will just leave it. So let me undo that. And then it undoes the whole thing. But the reason why I'm not going to use this picture is there was some weird stuff right in here that I'm like, I'm not even going to try to take that away. So delete that picture. We're going to try to find another one. Okay, this one would probably be better simply because I'm not leaning back all weird and it's not going to have that gap in the image. So let's go here. I'm going to do background remover again. And as you can see, there's still some wonkiness with the microphone being here. That's okay. We're going to come in. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to delete all of this. And then everything else looks fine. Even if there's like a few little subtleties, like I know people that'll get like, oh my gosh, my hair, I need to make it I'm like, no, I don't worry about any of that. So I'm going to say done. And what I do for my thumbnails to get that picture where it has a little bit of that yellow glow in the background, let's go back to the original one we were working with. You see this yellow glow right here. I actually duplicate this image and then do something fun with it. So let me go back. Oh, it's the exact same picture, y'all. You would have think I would have thought about it. Nope, it's the exact same picture. But you know, it's fine. It's new for you, right? It's new to you. So let me do a copy. So I copied the image so you can see there's two of me, which always gets a little weird because I'm like, there's two of me here. But I will go into the duotone setting. And I just click on the first one that's here. And then what it gives is this weird color. I know, just bear with me for a second. This is how I apply the yellow to the back of it. Now I'm going to show you here, 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 boom. It's all yellow. It does that for like a second. And then it will all be applied yellow once it loads. Okay, so you can see there is me, but I'm all yellow. And then if the pictures kind of got swapped here, I'll just go to the position. I want to move this to the front. And I want this yellow one to be slightly bigger than this one. And then it just really creates more of that like shadow effect. So let me move back over here. And then here we go. I could group these together if I wanted to. There's a group button right there. So then I don't have to move them individually. Now they're grouped together as one. And that's basically the size that I want to use. And then I can make it smaller, make it bigger. And then there we go. This is how I would use this. I don't really love that this computer is still that close because I'd want to make it bigger. I don't know, but I don't want to sit here and mess with icons too much because I feel like it's just one of those things that you get finicky, right? You start messing with it. You're like, oh, I could do this. I could do this. Sometimes it takes me 10 minutes to make this, like right now, or sometimes it takes me 30 to 45 minutes depending on what I want to make sure, because sometimes I'll have to cut out keywords. I'll have to cut out really important words, and that bothers me. I would rather it say the thing that someone can see exactly what it is and they're like, oh, I need this video, rather than having, oh, this isn't the best picture of me. I don't really care about the picture. As long as it looks like it's me, first of all, it looks like a regular branded image of myself, but it looks like it conveys a little bit of an emotion. So sometimes if it's a confusing topic, I'll put a confused face on there. Sometimes if it's like, oh, you're overwhelmed, I'll put a picture of me like this. It just depends. Again, this is my style. This is my personality. And it's just a little behind the scenes of how I use Canva for my graphics and my content. But I want to know what questions you have. So put in the comments below. If you found this video helpful today, if you have other questions about Canva, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. Again, it is a platform that I have used for many, many years. And I think that I still have so much to learn and explore, and we could do that together. So tell me what questions you have about Canva in the comments. But that's all I have for you today. So make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe below, that way you don't miss our future videos all about content creation, strategy, and running your online business. Make sure you check out these other videos right here that we put out every single week that are filled with tips, strategies, tutorials, and all the things. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.